Thanks, Sean. Well, how many of you guys have ever played the sport of field hockey? Hey, not too bad. Well, generally in Canada, when you hear the word hockey, you tend to think ice and pucks. Not surprisingly, but for me, when I hear the word hockey, I think of turf, a ball, and field hockey sticks. Now, traditionally, the sport of field hockey is thought of as sort of girly, probably because we wear skirts. But to me, it's no more girly than, say, Hayley Wickenheiser on the ice rink, or Christine Sinclair with a soccer ball, or even Clara Hughes on the speed skating track. But in case you're not convinced, here's a little video to give you just a bit of insight. So I titled today's talk, The Power of Passion, Your Choices, Your World, for a number of reasons. First of all, if you haven't already guessed, I'm very passionate about the sport of field hockey. At first, it was just an after-school activity, but it soon became me joining the provincial team, playing for the UVic Vikes, joining the junior national team, and finally, the senior Canadian national team. Now, after high school, I thought my life was pretty set out. I was going to go to university, get a degree, head to med school, and then become a doctor. But I did manage to get my degree, but nowhere in that life script did I say that I was going to devote 6 years of my life to playing for Canada. Now, choosing to play field hockey for Canada was a big commitment, but it's a choice that I made, and I'm never going to regret it. I made that choice, and it's absolutely one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. I reprioritized my life, and I moved to Vancouver to train full-time. And that was with little income and a lot of expenses. I moved to Vancouver, I played with the team, and I had a great time. But my coaches were constantly asking me to choose whether or not I was fully ready to commit to the team. And that meant dealing with the consequences of failing fitness tests, getting your skin pinched to tell you whether or not you have too much or too little body fat on you, paying your own way to tournaments, and dealing with career-threatening injuries. But I made the choice to stick with it, and I battled through the best and the worst parts of it. Now, last November, I found out that I tore my labrum in my right shoulder, and I had to get surgery. And we were in an Olympic qualifying year. So this tournament was coming up, and it was a big one. I had a huge choice to make. On one hand, I could get the surgery and ideally be 100% by the time the tournament came, but that was never going to be a full guarantee. Or on the other hand, I could postpone the surgery and maybe continue to play in a bit of pain and by the end of the tournament have a bit of regret because I wasn't able to compete at my best. Well, I had to make that decision. So in January, I decided I was going to have the surgery. And not surprisingly, forced time off was frustrating. But it gave me the opportunity to see my sport from a completely different perspective. I was fortunate because my team brought me on as a member of their support staff, and I traveled with them on tour while I was injured. And I was responsible for videotaping their games. But on the side, I decided I was going to make highlight videos and interview the girls on video and write game reports to send back to our supporters and all our fans back home. Now, I thought, this was a great idea, and I had so much fun doing it. So from there, I decided to take on the world and just pursue this career. But I continued with my rehab, and with lots of diligence, I was actually cleared to play almost 2 months earlier than expected. So this past summer, I returned to play with Canada, and I competed in a series of games against Chile, Japan, and Trinidad and Tobago. But after those games, I kind of realized I sort of found a new passion for myself. And it wasn't that I didn't love field hockey anymore, because I did. But it felt like I was ready to transition into something a bit different, take on a new challenge. So this past August, I decided to retire from the national team. And I was fortunately hired by the University of Victoria in their Vikes Sports Communications Department. And now I get to interview people, and I get to write about athletes. Athletes who are taking on journeys and discovering themselves. And they're all on journeys that I can totally relate to. I thought I was at a huge loss because I was giving up the opportunity to chase the Olympic dream and to wear that maple leaf on my jersey and to be able to say I was an athlete as my full-time career. But I realized over time, your passions can change, and that's totally okay. You have to go with it, because I'm now in a world of sports communications, and I love it. I get to interview these people and network with people in the media from all over the world. Now, my coach once told me that, Allie, there's no wrong decision unless you don't make one. And he was right. You have to make a decision, and from there, you go on to create your own world. I realized that when people tell you the sky is the limit or you can do anything you put your mind to, they're actually kind of right. You may not get the end result that you were initially thinking of, but I believe that if you're passionate about what you do and you make choices for you, you will ultimately be able to create your own path, one that's fit for you. For the past 6 years with the national team, I thought all I ever wanted to do was play field hockey for Canada. But I realized that that wasn't all it was about. And all my athletic experience has led me to this new job. And it's got me to where I am today. And I'm so grateful for that. Now, I get to interview all these people and share with the world all these wonderful stories. Now, I've finally realized that you can't be afraid of the consequences of your decisions when you're just following your heart. I really wasn't afraid of it, and it's worked out better than I could have possibly imagined. So I'm going to leave you with this. You have to remember that it's the power of your passion and making your choices that are ultimately going to help create your world. Thanks very much.